Coach, today we're going to be talking about China and the AP6. Specifically, we're going to start talking about um, Great Leap Forward. So we're going to see if I can share my screen. Okay. All right, so Great Leap Forward, it's taking place in the late 50s and early 60s. The context is that, so you have the People's Republic of China formed in 1949, and Mao realizes he has a really big country, and he has a lot of resources, and he has a lot of people, and he's trying to utilize that. So they're trying to take control of the masses and produce more output to catch up to their Western allies or their Western enemies like the United States and also people like Russia. And the solution was industrialization and state control of activity. So one of his plans was to organize people. So he established the Patriotic Health Campaign in effort to keep the streets clean and homes clean, and also keep a uniform civilian population. Also, Mao realized that, like I said earlier, they have a huge population. So he realized that they have to produce at their optimal level for steel, land, and grain. And before the Great Leap Forward, most of the farms of the rice farms and grain farms were family owned and small. But he seizes a lot of the land and he makes it nationalized, and he makes them large scale production farms as opposed to just the family owned ones. He also incentivizes the production of steel. And by the end of the Great Leap Forward, a large portion of the population was either working on steel or rice farms and grain. The pitfalls of this, even though they did increase production, since they're incentivized to produce, to report and a higher number of grain, many of them would lie and over exaggerate how much they were actually producing. So the central government was given a false sense of security of how far they could actually stretch their resources, taking on too big of projects, and just a real lack of communication between the different sectors. Also, since they were incentivized to produce as much steel as possible, the quality didn't really matter. So they had a really poor quality there. The Chinese people, unlike their production of grain, where they'd been producing it for generations and generations, were completely new to steel. And they were melting down household appliances and tools, woks, pans, all this stuff. So it produced a really low quality steel. And it's also really dangerous because, like I said, they were severely underqualified for it. The one of the big pitfall of the Great Leap Forward was the Great Famine. Mao's idea was that he saw a lot of sparrows on the grain crop and he thought that they were eating the crop. So he ordered the death of all of the sparrows. And in reality, the sparrows were actually eating the insects on the grain. So by eliminating the sparrow population, the insect population rose and the grain was completely wiped out. And it killed anywhere from 30 to 45 million people, according to some estimates. It completely decimated the grain. Also, the reason that it was so effective was because he was having people bring in the bodies of the dead sparrows, and he would give rewards, extra food, things like that. He'd also give more social standing for your village. And finally, a lot of people associate the Great Leap Forward with its name, thinking that it was a lot of economic growth and prosperity. But in reality, it's not really the case. The Chinese economic growth that we see today, starting from the late 70s, really didn't come about until Deng Xiaoping. And in reality, it was a real embarrassment for the Chinese Communist Party in terms of their planning and just the way that they went around the entire execution of the project. Have a good break, Coach Clark.